You're supposed to be dead.
The words hang in the fluorescent-lit hallway of Navy headquarters like smoke after gunfire. Admiral Nathan Cross stands frozen, his face the color of old paper, staring at a woman who should not exist. Lieutenant Commander Jasmine Hale meets his gaze without flinching, her expression as still as deep water. Around them, 20 people stop mid-stride. Keyboards go silent, coffee cups pause halfway to lips. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's rewind to 30 minutes earlier, when everyone in this building thought Jasmine Hale was just another desk recruit who couldn't find her way to a briefing room. The morning of Monday, October 14th, starts like any other at Navy HQ, 6:45 a.m. The hallways smell like industrial cleaner and burnt coffee. Fluorescent lights hum overhead, casting everything in that particular shade of bureaucratic gray that makes even admirals look tired. Junior officers rush past with folders tucked under their arms. Civilian contractors swipe ID cards at security checkpoints. Somewhere down the hall, a printer jams for the third time this week. Jasmine Hale stands at the intersection of two corridors holding a paper map. Not a phone, not a tablet, an actual folded paper map that looks like it was printed sometime during the previous administration. She's in dress blues, crisp and correct, but there's something off about the way she wears them. Too comfortable, like she's done this before, a long time ago, and her body remembers even if no one else does. She studies the map, turning it 90 degrees, then back. Her face gives nothing away. Captain Ryan Mercer rounds the corner with 3 junior officers trailing behind him like ducklings. He's 42, square-jawed, with the kind of confidence that comes from never being told no. His uniform carries just enough ribbons to impress civilians and just few enough to make veterans ask questions. He spots Jasmine and slows. Well, well, his voice carries. It's designed to carry. First day, and she's already lost. The junior officers laugh on cue. One of them, a baby-faced ensign named Patterson, adds, "Desk recruit can't even find the briefing room." Mercer stops directly in front of Jasmine, forcing her to look up. He's 6 inches taller and uses every inch. "Welcome to the Navy, Hale. Try not to blow up this base, too." More laughter. A passing yeoman glances over, then away. No one intervenes. This is how it works. This is how it's always worked. Jasmine doesn't respond. She doesn't flinch. She stands perfectly still, and if you were paying very close attention, if you knew what to look for, you'd see her chest rise and fall in a specific rhythm. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds out. It's called combat breathing. They teach it to people who need to stay calm when everything is trying to kill them, but no one here is paying that kind of attention. Her eyes move across the hallway in a pattern that isn't quite random. Left corner, right corner, exit signs, security camera, structural weak points. It takes 3 seconds. Then her gaze returns to the map as if nothing happened. As if she's just a confused new hire who took a wrong turn. When she bends to adjust the map, something falls from her uniform pocket. A small metallic disc that hits the tile floor with a bright ping and rolls toward the wall, where it disappears into the shadow cast by a support column. The sound is sharp enough that it should draw attention, but Mercer is already walking away, still chuckling, and his entourage follows. Only one person sees it happen. Master Chief Dale Dawson, 63 years old, walking with the careful gait of someone whose knees have jumped out of too many helicopters. He's 3 yards away when the coin falls. He catches the glint of silver, the way it spins, and something about the motion makes him stop, makes him look. The coin settles in the shadow. Jasmine doesn't go after it. She straightens, folds the map with precise creases, and walks in the opposite direction. Away from the briefing room, away from Mercer's laughter. Dawson watches her go. Then he walks to the column, bends down with a grunt, and picks up the coin. It's heavier than it should be. Silver, not aluminum. One side shows an anchor wreathed in rope. The other side has an inscription, but the light is bad and his eyes aren't what they used to be. He pockets it without thinking and continues down the hall. He doesn't know it yet, but that coin will change everything. Jasmine takes the stairs instead of the elevator. Her footsteps echo in the concrete stairwell, steady and measured. On the 3rd floor landing, she stops and pulls out a small notebook. Not a phone. A physical notebook with a battered cover and pages that have been turned so many times the edges are soft. She writes 3 lines in shorthand that would look like gibberish to anyone else. Then she tucks it away and keeps climbing. By the time she reaches the 5th floor, her breathing is still even, not winded, not hurried. She pushes through the door and emerges into another identical hallway. This time, she doesn't need the map. She walks directly to room 512, knocks twice, and enters. The office is small and smells like old files. Admiral Cross sits behind a desk covered in reports, his reading glasses perched on the end of his nose. He's 58, with iron gray hair and the kind of posture that comes from decades of being watched. When Jasmine enters, he looks up, and for just a fraction of a second, something flickers across his face. Recognition, disbelief, fear. Then it's gone, replaced by professional neutrality. "Commander Hale." His voice is carefully controlled. "You're early." "Traffic was light, sir." She closes the door behind her. They look at each other across the desk. Cross takes off his glasses, folds them, sets them down with deliberate precision. "I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly." "Sir." "How many people know you're here?" "3, sir. You, me, and whoever signed the transfer orders." Cross exhales slowly. "Keep it that way." "Yes, sir." He opens a drawer, pulls out a file so thin it barely qualifies as a file, and slides it across the desk. Jasmine doesn't touch it. She already knows what it says. She wrote most of it. "Your official assignment is audit specialist," Cross says. "You'll review past operations, identify inefficiencies, recommend improvements. Standard bureaucratic nonsense that no one will question." "And my actual assignment, sir?" Cross leans back in his chair. It creaks. "Find out who sold Silent Harbor. Find out how deep it goes. And for the love of all that's holy, don't get yourself killed a second time." Jasmine's expression doesn't change. "Understood, sir." "Mercer doesn't know who you are. Keep it that way as long as possible. Let him think you're harmless. Let him underestimate you." "He already does, sir." "Good." Cross picks up his glasses again, a clear dismissal. "Dismissed, Commander. And Hale?" She pauses at the door. "It's good to see you alive." She nods once and leaves. The hallway is more crowded now. 0700. The shift change. Jasmine moves through the flow of bodies like water, not pushing, not hurrying, but never quite touching anyone. She reaches her assigned workspace on the 4th floor, a cubicle in a row of identical cubicles, and sits down at a computer that still has the plastic wrap on the keyboard. The cubicle next to hers is occupied by a lieutenant junior grade named Chen, who barely looks old enough to shave. He peers over the divider. "You're the new auditor?" "Yes." "Rough start, huh? I heard Mercer got you good in the hallway." Jasmine logs into the computer. "I found my way." "Yeah. Well, word of advice? Stay out of his way. Mercer's got pull around here. People who cross him tend to get reassigned to places where the mail takes 3 weeks to arrive." "I'll keep that in mind." Chen disappears back behind the divider. Jasmine opens her email. There's already a message waiting, sent at 0653 while she was still in the stairwell. The sender is Mercer. The subject line reads, "Welcome aboard." The body of the email is 2 sentences long. "New audit specialist Hale. Let's hope she can audit her way out of a hallway. Looking forward to working with you." It's CC'd to 47 people. Jasmine reads it twice. Then, without typing a reply, she forwards it to Cross. No comment, no explanation, just the forward. She attaches a single metadata file showing the email was composed at 0317 a.m., 3.5 hours before Mercer's supposed chance encounter in the hallway. Interesting. She spends the next 4 hours doing exactly what she's supposed to do. She reviews budget reports. She cross-references procurement records. She generates a spreadsheet comparing fuel costs across 3 fiscal years. It's mind-numbing work, and she does it flawlessly. At 11:30, Chen pokes his head over the divider again. "Lunch? I'm good." "You sure? The DFAC isn't terrible on Mondays. Chicken that's only slightly rubber." "I brought something." Chen shrugs and disappears. Jasmine waits until his footsteps fade, then pulls a protein bar from her bag. She eats it in 6 bites, drinks half a bottle of water, and returns to the spreadsheet. But her hands aren't typing. They're resting on the edge of the desk in a position that would look casual to anyone passing by but is actually ready to move in any direction, instantly if needed. At 1300 hours, her computer pings. New email. Mercer again. "Hale, my office. 1500. Don't get lost." She archives the message and goes back to work. Mercer's office is on the 6th floor, corner position, with windows overlooking the parking lot. Jasmine arrives at 14:59. The door is open. Mercer sits behind his desk, reading something on his tablet. He doesn't look up. "Close the door." She does. "Sit." She remains standing. Mercer finally looks up and his expression shifts from irritation to something colder. "I said sit, Commander." "I'm comfortable, sir." They stare at each other. Mercer sets down the tablet with a click that's louder than it needs to be. "You know what I think, Hale? I think you're in over your head. I think someone owed someone a favor, and you got a job you're not qualified for." Jasmine says nothing. "I'm assigning you a project, Silent Harbor. Heard of it?" "No, sir." "Good. That means you can look at it with fresh eyes." He slides a thin folder across the desk. "Operation 3 years ago. Bad intel. 12 KIA. Command wants a full audit. Timeline, decisions, where it went wrong. You've got 48 hours. Jasmine picks up the folder. It's lighter than it should be. Pages are missing. She can tell by the way the staple holes don't line up. 48 hours is tight, sir." "Then you'd better not waste time getting lost." Mercer's smile doesn't reach his eyes. "Dismissed." Jasmine leaves with the folder tucked under her arm. In the hallway, she passes Dawson, who's carrying a clipboard and walking like a man who has somewhere to be. He glances at her, then at the folder, and something flickers in his eyes. But he keeps walking, and so does she. Back at her cubicle, Jasmine opens the folder. 12 pages. Half of them are redacted so heavily they're more black ink than text. The timeline starts 3 months before the operation and ends the day of. No after-action reports. No investigation findings. No accountability. She photographs every page with a camera she pulls from her bag, not her phone. A small digital camera that doesn't connect to any network. Then she starts reading. Silent Harbor. February 27th, 3 years ago. A joint operation to extract a high-value target from a compound in a country the report doesn't name. 17 operators went in, 12 didn't come out. The official explanation is faulty intelligence. The compound was supposed to be empty. It wasn't. Jasmine reads the casualty list. 12 names. She recognizes all of them. She served with 7. She trained 3. She pulled 2 of them out of a burning helicopter once, in a place that also isn't named in the reports. At the bottom of the list, there's a 13th name that's been crossed out in blue ink. Hale, J, KIA, unconfirmed. She stares at her own name for a long time. Then she closes the folder and starts typing. For the next 36 hours, Jasmine Hale becomes invisible. She arrives at 0600 and leaves at 2200. She eats at her desk. She doesn't make small talk. Chen tries twice to invite her to happy hour and gives up when she doesn't respond. The other auditors start calling her the ghost behind her back, which is funnier than they know. If you believe respect is earned in silence, hit that like button and subscribe. Let's see how far a ghost can walk before someone realizes she's hunting. She builds a timeline that starts 6 months before the operation and ends yesterday. She pulls data from sources that officially don't exist. Server logs, encrypted emails, requisition forms that were supposed to be destroyed. She cross-references personnel movements with financial transactions. She maps communication patterns, and she finds the hole. 3 days before Silent Harbor, someone accessed the operational planning files from an external network. The login credentials belonged to a Lieutenant Morrison, who was on leave in Hawaii at the time. The access lasted 11 minutes. In that time, someone downloaded the compound layout, the entry points, the extraction route, and the roster of everyone going in. Jasmine traces the IP address. It bounces through 4 proxies, but the originating location is a coffee shop 6 blocks from Navy HQ. She pulls security footage from the coffee shop. The quality is terrible, but there's a timestamp and a partial license plate on a car in the parking lot. The car is registered to Captain Ryan Mercer. She sits back in her chair and breathes. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds out. At 0500 on day 3, she sends the completed report to Mercer. 97 pages, charts, citations, a timeline so detailed you could set your watch by it. She doesn't mention the coffee shop. She doesn't mention the IP address. She writes around the hole, outlining its exact shape without ever pointing at it. At 0830, Mercer calls her into his office. He looks like he hasn't slept. There are coffee rings on his desk and a tie that's been loosened and retightened badly. He holds the printed report in both hands like it might explode. This is very thorough. Thank you, sir. Too thorough. He drops the report on the desk. You weren't supposed to find half this information. Where did you get it? Yet. Public records, sir. Cross-referenced databases. Standard audit procedure. There's nothing standard about this. He flips to a specific page, one with a timeline showing communication gaps. This section here, the 11-minute access window. Where did that come from? Server logs, sir. Routine security audit from 18 months ago. Those logs were sealed. They were unsealed last month, sir. New transparency initiative. It's a lie. The logs are still sealed. Jasmine unsealed them herself at 0200 this morning using credentials that officially belong to a Navy IT contractor who retired 4 years ago. But Mercer doesn't know that. He can't know that. If he checks, he'll find the logs open, and he'll assume someone else opened them. Mercer stares at her. She stares back. Her face is a mask. Her hands rest loosely at her sides, but if you knew what to look for, you'd see her weight is balanced on the balls of her feet. Ready. I'm forwarding this to Admiral Cross, Mercer says finally. You've done your job, maybe too well. Take the rest of the day off. Thank you, sir. She turns to leave. Commander? She stops. Where were you 3 years ago, February 27th? The question hangs in the air like a blade. Jasmine doesn't turn around. Training exercise, sir. Fort Benning. You're sure? Yes, sir. She leaves before he can ask anything else. In the hallway, her hands are shaking. She makes it to the bathroom, locks herself in a stall, and sits on the closed toilet lid until the shaking stops. Then she splashes water on her face, dries it with paper towels, and goes back to her cubicle like nothing happened. At 1300 hours, her computer makes a sound it's never made before. Not a ping. A chime, low and urgent. She clicks the notification. System maintenance required, please log off. She doesn't log off. Instead, she opens a command prompt and types 3 lines of code. The screen fills with text scrolling too fast to read. Then it stops. 1 line appears. Unauthorized deletion attempt detected. Source, admin terminal 6. Jasmine pulls out her phone, opens an app that looks like a weather widget, and taps 3 times. A list of files appears. Every document she's worked on for the past 3 days, every photo, every note. All of it backed up to a server that exists in a legal gray area somewhere between classified and don't ask, don't tell. She closes the app, returns to the command prompt, types 1 more line. The screen goes black. Then the normal login screen reappears as if nothing happened. But something did happen. Someone just tried to delete every file she'd created, and that someone has access to the administrative network. She picks up her phone and sends a text to a number that isn't saved in her contacts. 3 words. He's moving. The response comes back in 5 seconds. Good. Let him. At 1600 hours, Chen leans over the cubicle divider, eyes wide. Did you hear? Hear what? Mercer's calling a security review on you. Says your clearance documentation is incomplete. You might get suspended pending investigation. Jasmine saves her work and closes the laptop. When? Meeting at 0800 tomorrow, with Cross and some people from JAG. Chen lowers his voice. Look, I don't know what you did, but Mercer doesn't mess around. If he wants you gone, you're gone. Thanks for the heads up. You're not worried? Should I be? Chen stares at her like she's speaking a foreign language, then disappears behind the divider. Jasmine sits very still. 72 hours. That's how long she has. If she can't clear the investigation in 72 hours, she'll be suspended, escorted out, no access to the building or the files or the people she needs to finish this. Mercer knows something. Not everything, but enough to be dangerous. She checks her backup files. The server log showing the attempted deletion has been downloaded and encrypted. The coffee shop footage is stored in 3 separate locations. The timeline connecting Mercer's car to the data breach exists in a format that can't be altered without leaving fingerprints. But it's not enough. Not yet. Evidence of access isn't evidence of intent. She needs more. At 2200 hours, she's the last person on the 4th floor. The overhead lights have switched to night mode, casting long shadows between the cubicles. Her computer screen is the only source of light. She's been searching for 3 hours, cross-referencing financial records with personnel files, looking for the thing that always exists when someone sells out their own people. Money. And she finds it. 3 days after Silent Harbor, a payment of $75,000 was deposited into an offshore account registered to a shell company in the Cayman Islands. The company has 1 shareholder, a trust. The trust has 1 beneficiary, Ryan Mercer's wife. 3 months later, another payment, $100,000, same account. 6 months after that, a 3rd payment, $50,000. Total $225,000 paid in 3 installments over 9 months, each one corresponding with a classified operation that went badly. Silent Harbor was just the first. Jasmine takes screenshots, sends them to the backup server, prints a copy on paper that goes into a folder she locks in her desk. Then she erases her search history and logs off. She sits in the dark for a long time, breathing 444, listening to the building settle around her. Somewhere above, a pipe clanks. Somewhere below, a door closes. The security guard makes his rounds at the top of every hour, footsteps echoing in the stairwell. Jasmine doesn't move. She's thinking about 12 people who didn't come home. 12 families who got folded flags and carefully worded letters. 12 names on a wall that could have lived if someone hadn't sold them for $225,000. At 2300 hours, she stands up, puts on her coat, and walks to the elevator. The building is never truly empty. There are always people working late, security making rounds, maintenance fixing things that break in the dark. But the 4th floor is deserted. Her footsteps are the only sound. The elevator arrives with a soft chime. The doors open. Master Chief Dawson stands inside, still in uniform, holding a cardboard box. They look at each other. "Working late, Commander?" "Could ask you the same, Master Chief." Cleaning out old files, 30 years of junk. He shifts the box. Something inside rattles. "You settling in okay?" "Well enough." The doors start to close. Jasmine puts out a hand to stop them, steps inside. The elevator descends in silence. 3 floors, 2. At the ground floor, the doors open to the main lobby, where a bored security guard sits behind a desk reading something on his phone. Dawson steps out. Jasmine follows. At the exit, he pauses. "Commander?" "Yes, Master Chief?" He reaches into his pocket and pulls out something silver, the challenge coin. He holds it up to the light, and now Jasmine can see the inscription clearly. "Silent Harbor, never forgotten." "This fell out of your pocket yesterday," Dawson says quietly. "Thought you might want it back." He hands it to her. Their fingers don't touch. Jasmine takes the coin, feels the weight of it, the worn edges where someone carried it for a long time. "Thank you, Master Chief." "That unit." Dawson's voice is very low. "They were all killed. February 27, 3 years ago. 12 operators, no survivors." "That's what the record says." "Yeah." Dawson looks at her for a long moment. "That's what it says." He walks away, carrying his box of junk, leaving Jasmine alone in the lobby with a coin that isn't supposed to exist and a name that was crossed off a casualty list in blue ink. The security guard looks up. "Night, Commander." "Night." She steps out into the October cold. The parking lot is mostly empty. Streetlights cast orange pools on the pavement. Her car is a 15-year-old sedan that blends into traffic like camouflage. She gets in, starts the engine, and sits with her hands on the wheel, not moving. The coin sits on the dashboard. Silver, heavy, real. Jasmine picks it up and reads the inscription one more time. Then she puts it in her pocket, shifts into drive, and leaves Navy HQ behind. She doesn't go home. Home is a studio apartment with furniture that came from 3 different thrift stores and walls thin enough to hear the neighbors argue. Instead, she drives to a 24-hour diner on the edge of town, the kind of place that serves breakfast at midnight and doesn't ask questions. She orders coffee, black, and sits in a booth by the window where she can see the parking lot and the door. Old habits. The waitress brings the coffee and a look that says she's seen enough late-night haunted faces to know when not to make small talk. Jasmine pulls out her phone, opens the encrypted app, reads the message thread. He's moving. Her 1600 hours. Good. Let him. Cross 1601. Security review scheduled. 0800 tomorrow. Her 2200. Let it happen. We need him confident. Cross 2203. He tried to delete my files. Her 2215. Did he succeed? Cross 2215. No. Her 2216. Then he's panicking. Keep pushing. Cross 2217. She types a new message. Found the money. 225,000. 3 payments. Account traced to his wife. The response comes back immediately. Confirmed. We've been watching that account for 8 months. Needed someone inside to connect it to the operations. Jasmine stares at the screen. 8 months. They've known for 8 months. Which means this whole thing, her transfer, her assignment, the harassment in the hallway, all of it was orchestrated. She's not investigating Mercer. She's the bait to make him reveal himself. She types, "You could have told me." Cross. "Would you have done anything differently?" She doesn't answer. Because he's right. She wouldn't have. The only way to catch a rat is to let it think it's winning. Let it get comfortable. Let it make mistakes. And Mercer is making mistakes. The coffee goes cold while she thinks. At 0200, the diner crowd changes. The late workers go home. The early workers come in. A trucker orders eggs and hash browns. A nurse still in scrubs drinks coffee and stares at nothing. Jasmine fits right in. At 0400, she pays her bill and drives back to her apartment. She doesn't sleep. She showers, changes into a fresh uniform, and arrives at Navy HQ at 0600 exactly on time. The building feels different, tighter, like a trap that's about to spring. She swipes her ID at the entrance. The light turns green. The guard waves her through without looking up. 4th floor. Her cubicle. Everything is exactly where she left it. Computer off, files locked in the drawer. Coffee mug upside down on a paper towel. She logs in, checks her email. 3 new messages. 2 are routine. The 3rd is from Mercer, sent at 0530. Security review moved up. Conference room B, 0700. Attendance mandatory. Moved up. An hour earlier than Chen warned her about. That's not panic. That's strategy. Give her less time to prepare, less time to gather allies. Hit her when she's off balance. Jasmine prints a copy of her Silent Harbor report. All 97 pages. She puts it in a folder with her financial analysis and the screenshots of the offshore payments. Then she adds one more thing. A single photograph printed on photo paper showing 12 people in combat gear standing in front of a helicopter. The photo is 3 years old. The people are smiling. Most of them are dead now. In the back row, 3rd from the left, there's a woman whose face is partially obscured by shadow and helmet. But you can see enough. You can see her eyes. And if you knew where to look, if you pulled back the collar of her uniform right now, you'd see a tattoo on her left shoulder. An anchor wrapped in rope, with waves beneath it, and the number 17 above. Unit 17. Silent Harbor, never forgotten. Jasmine slides the photograph into the folder and closes it. Then she picks up her coffee mug, fills it from the break room, and walks to conference room B. She arrives at 0655. The door is closed. She can hear voices inside. Male, tense. She knocks twice. "Come!" She enters. The room is small and windowless. A conference table takes up most of the space, surrounded by 8 chairs. 5 are occupied. Admiral Cross sits at the head, his face unreadable. Next to him, 2 officers from JAG, a man and a woman, both with the kind of neutral expressions that lawyers learn in their first year. Across from them, Master Chief Dawson holding a notebook. And at the far end, Captain Ryan Mercer looking like he slept even less than Jasmine. "Commander Hale." Cross gestures to the empty chair. "Sit." She sits, places the folder on the table in front of her, folds her hands, waits. The JAG officer, a commander named Williams, speaks first. "Commander Hale, you're here because questions have been raised regarding your security clearance and the completeness of your background documentation. This is an informal review. You're not under investigation. We just need to verify a few things." "Of course, ma'am." Williams opens her own folder. "Your transfer orders list your previous assignment as Fort Benning, Training Command, but we don't have records of you being stationed there." "Administrative error, ma'am. My assignment was listed under a different unit designation for security purposes." "What unit?" "I'd need to verify that in a secure setting, ma'am." Williams glances at Cross, who nods slightly. She makes a note. "Your service record shows a gap. February through August, 3 years ago. Can you account for that time?" Jasmine meets her eyes. "Medical leave, ma'am. Extended recovery." "Recovery from what?" "I'd need to verify that in a secure setting, ma'am." Mercer leans forward. "Commander, this is getting circular. You can't verify anything. Your medical records are sealed. Your assignment history has gaps big enough to drive a truck through. For all we know, you're not even who you say you are." Jasmine turns to look at him. Her face is perfectly calm. "Are you suggesting I'm an imposter, sir?" "I'm suggesting your documentation is incomplete. Then perhaps we should complete it." She opens her folder, slides the Silent Harbor report across the table. My audit of Operation Silent Harbor as requested. 97 pages. I believe you'll find it thoroughly documented. Mercer doesn't touch it. That's not what we're here to discuss. Isn't it? Jasmine's voice is still calm, but something has changed in the room. The temperature has dropped. You assigned me to audit an operation where 12 people died due to faulty intelligence. I audited it. I found the intelligence wasn't faulty. It was sold. The JAG officers sit up straighter. Cross's expression doesn't change, but his hands flatten on the table. Dawson stops writing. Mercer's face goes very still. That's a serious accusation, Commander. It's a documented fact, sir. She slides another sheet across the table. The financial analysis. 3 payments, $225,000 total, deposited into an offshore account registered to a shell company. The company has 1 beneficiary. Williams picks up the sheet, scans it. Her professional mask slips for just a second. Where did you get this information? Public financial records, cross-referenced with personnel movement and operational timelines. The same way I found the security breach 3 days before the operation. She slides another sheet. The coffee shop footage, the license plate. That's your car, isn't it, Captain? Mercer stands up. This is absurd. I don't have to listen to this. Sit down, Captain. Cross's voice cuts like a blade. It's the first time he's spoken since Jasmine entered. Sit down and be quiet. Mercer sits, but his eyes are wild now. Trapped animal wild. Jasmine continues as if nothing happened. Someone accessed the operational files 3 days before Silent Harbor. They used stolen credentials. They downloaded everything. Compound layout, entry points, extraction routes, the roster of everyone going in. That information was then sold to the people waiting in that compound. 12 operators walked into an ambush that should never have happened. You can't prove any of that, Mercer says, but his voice has lost its edge. Actually, sir, I can. She slides the final sheet across. The server logs, the timestamps, the IP trace. This is proof of access. The financial records are proof of payment. And this? She places the photograph on the table. 12 people smiling in front of a helicopter. This is proof of consequence. Williams picks up the photo, studies it. Who are these people? Unit 17, ma'am. Silent Harbor. KIA, February 27, 3 years ago. Jasmine's voice is very quiet now. All 12 of them, because someone decided $225,000 was worth more than their lives. The room is silent. Not the comfortable silence of people thinking. The heavy silence of people realizing they're standing next to something that's about to explode. Williams sets down the photo. Commander, I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I need you to answer it honestly. Were you part of Unit 17? Jasmine doesn't hesitate. Yes, ma'am. The records say everyone in that unit was killed. The records say a lot of things, ma'am. Are you telling me you survived? I'm telling you I'm sitting here, ma'am. Mercer stands again. This time no one stops him. This is insane. She's making this up. There's no way she could have survived. He stops. Realizes what he's just said. Realizes that he shouldn't know whether she could have survived unless he knew exactly what was waiting in that compound. The trap springs. Cross stands slowly. Captain Mercer, you're relieved of duty pending investigation. Hand over your credentials. Sir, Your credentials. Now! Mercer reaches for his ID card, but his hands are shaking. The card falls to the table with a clatter. Cross picks it up, pockets it, and nods to Dawson. Master Chief, please escort the captain to holding. Dawson stands. He's older than Mercer, slower, but there's something in his eyes that makes very clear what will happen if Mercer tries anything stupid. Sir, this way. Mercer looks around the room like a drowning man looking for a rope. His eyes land on Jasmine. You were supposed to be dead. How are you here? Jasmine meets his eyes. I got better. Justice doesn't shout, it waits. If this story moved you, drop a comment below. And hit that subscribe button because the hunt isn't over. Dawson takes Mercer by the arm and guides him to the door. Mercer doesn't resist. He's gone somewhere else in his head. To the place people go when everything they built comes apart. The door closes behind them. The 3 people left in the room sit in silence. Williams is the first to speak. Commander Hale, I'm going to need you to come with me. We have a lot of questions. Yes, ma'am. starting with how exactly you survived an operation that killed everyone else in your unit. Jasmine picks up the photograph, looks at the faces. 12 people who trusted the intelligence, who followed the orders, who walked into hell because someone told them it was safe. I didn't survive, ma'am. I just didn't die the same way they did. Cross clears his throat. Commander, what you've presented here is enough to begin a formal investigation. But I need to know, is there more? Jasmine looks at him. The man who pulled her out of a ditch 3 years ago, who offered her a choice between dying officially or living unofficially, who believed her when she said someone had sold them out. Yes, sir. There's more. How much more? 2 more names, same pattern, same payments. One of them is still active. The room gets very cold again. Cross sits back down. Tell me. And Jasmine Hale, who was supposed to be dead, who spent 3 years learning how to be a ghost, who stood silent while people mocked her and underestimated her and never once saw the trap closing around them, opens her folder and begins to talk. Outside, the sun rises on Navy headquarters. People arrive for work, coffee is made, computers are turned on, the machinery of bureaucracy grinds forward like it does every day, unaware that on the 4th floor, in a windowless conference room, the foundation is cracking. And somewhere in holding, Captain Ryan Mercer sits with his head in his hands, understanding too late that the woman he tried to destroy was never the prey. She was the hunter, and she's just getting started. The conference room has transformed into something else now. No longer a bureaucratic formality, but a war room where the past 3 years collapse into a single moment of reckoning. Williams has her laptop open, typing faster than seems possible. The other JAG officer, a lieutenant commander named Ramirez, is on the phone with someone whose title Jasmine doesn't catch. Cross sits perfectly still, his eyes fixed on the papers spread across the table like evidence at a crime scene. Jasmine continues. Her voice is steady, methodical, the voice of someone who has rehearsed this moment 1,000 times in the dark. The second name is Commander Patricia Voss, Naval Intelligence. She approved the operational security protocols for an extraction mission in April 2 years ago. 4 operators, all 4 captured, ransom demand of $3 million. The Navy doesn't negotiate with terrorists, so officially those 4 are still listed as prisoners of war. Williams looks up from her laptop. Officially? They were executed 6 weeks after capture, ma'am. We have confirmation from 3 separate intelligence sources, but their families still receive letters saying the Navy is working on their release. Ramirez covers the phone. Why would Voss keep that quiet? Because she sold the extraction route, sir. If the families knew their loved ones were dead, they'd demand an investigation. An investigation would find the leak. The leak leads back to her. Jasmine slides another financial document across the table. She received $80,000, 2 payments, same shell company structure as Mercer. Cross picks up the paper, studies it. You said one of them is still active. Yes, sir. Lieutenant Commander Derek Moss. He's currently assigned to the Office of Naval Intelligence, working on operational planning for Pacific Fleet deployments. 3 months ago, someone accessed classified deployment schedules from his terminal. 2 weeks later, a Chinese intelligence officer was arrested in Manila carrying printed copies of those same schedules. The breach was reported, Williams says. Moss claimed his credentials were stolen. They were, ma'am, by him. He reported the theft to cover his tracks, but the access logs show the files were downloaded during a time window when only 2 people were in the building. Moss and a janitor who's been cleared by counterintelligence 3 times. Jasmine produces another sheet. Moss received $150,000 the day after the arrest in Manila. Same payment structure. Same shell company. The room absorbs this information like a body absorbing a wound. Slowly, painfully. Ramirez ends his call. I just spoke with NCIS. They're sending a team. ETA 20 minutes. Cross nods. Then he turns to Jasmine. Commander, I need you to answer something, and I need the truth. How long have you known about Voss and Moss? Voss, 3 weeks, sir. Moss, 5 days. Why didn't you report it immediately? Jasmine meets his eyes. Because I needed to be sure, sir, and because I needed someone to believe me. 3 years ago, I tried to report my suspicions about Silent Harbor. I was told I was in shock, traumatized, unreliable. They put me on medical leave and buried my report. If I came forward now without proof, without everything documented and verified, I'd be back on leave and the investigation would disappear again. Cross's jaw tightens. Who told you that you were unreliable? Captain Ryan Mercer, sir. He was the investigating officer for the Silent Harbor after-action review. The silence that follows is the kind that precedes thunder. Williams and Ramirez exchange glances. Dawson, who has returned from escorting Mercer to holding, stands by the door with his arms crossed and an expression that suggests he's revising 30 years of assumptions about how the Navy works. Williams closes her laptop. Commander Hale, I'm going to be direct. What you've presented here is beyond my clearance level. It's beyond this review. We're going to need to bring in counterintelligence, NCIS, probably some people whose job titles I don't know. This room is about to get very crowded. Are you prepared for that? Yes, ma'am. Good. Because once we open this door, there's no closing it. Voss and Moss will be arrested. Mercer will be court-martialed. There will be investigations, hearings, media coverage. Your name will be attached to all of it. Your life will not be private anymore. Jasmine's hands rest flat on the table, steady. My life stopped being private 3 years ago, ma'am, when I woke up in a field hospital and found out I was officially dead. William studies her for a long moment, then she nods. All right, let's burn it all down. The next 4 hours are a controlled hurricane. NCIS arrives with 6 agents and portable evidence scanners. The conference room is sealed. 3 more rooms on the same floor are commandeered. Jasmine repeats her story 4 times to 4 different people, each one more senior than the last. She hands over her documentation, her photographs, her backup files. She unlocks her encrypted server and gives them access to everything. At 1100 hours, Commander Patricia Voss is arrested at her home in Arlington. She's in her bathrobe, drinking coffee, when 2 NCIS agents knock on her door. She doesn't resist. She doesn't say anything except, I want my lawyer. At 1300 hours, Lieutenant Commander Derek Moss is arrested at his desk in the Office of Naval Intelligence. He does resist. It takes 3 agents to restrain him, and when they finally get the handcuffs on, he's screaming about conspiracy and false accusations and how this is all a mistake. His co-workers watch in silence as he's escorted out. By 1500 hours, the story has leaked. Not the details, but the outline. 3 naval officers arrested for espionage, millions of dollars, multiple operations compromised. The news networks start calling. Navy Public Affairs issues a statement that says nothing in 300 words. Jasmine watches all of this from a small office on the 4th floor, where she's been told to wait while people more important than her decide what happens next. She's been given coffee she doesn't drink and a sandwich she doesn't eat. A legal pad sits on the desk in front of her, blank except for 1 line she's written and then crossed out. 12 people, $225,000, $18,750 per life. She stares at the math until it stops meaning anything. At 1600 hours, Cross enters the office and closes the door behind him. He looks older than he did this morning, tired. The kind of tired that comes from carrying weight you didn't know you were carrying. Commander? She stands. Sir? Sit, please. He takes the chair across from her. NCIS wants you in protective custody until the trials. Standard procedure when a witness is this central to a case. For how long, sir? Months, maybe longer. Mercer's lawyer is already arguing that your testimony is unreliable because you're not supposed to exist. They're going to make this complicated. Jasmine nods. She expected this. What about the families, sir? The families of the 12 from Silent Harbor, do they know yet? They're being notified now. We're sending casualty assistance officers to each home. They'll explain that new evidence has come to light, that their loved ones didn't die because of bad intelligence. They died because someone betrayed them. Cross pauses. We're offering them the truth. It won't bring anyone back, but it's something. It's more than they had yesterday, sir. Yes. Cross leans back in his chair. Commander, I need to ask you something, and I need you to think carefully before you answer. Why did you do this? You could have stayed dead, changed your name, started over somewhere else. You didn't owe the Navy anything. You certainly didn't owe me anything. So why come back? Jasmine is quiet for a long moment. Outside the window, she can see the parking lot, the same parking lot where Mercer used to park his car, the car that drove to a coffee shop and sold 12 lives for money he didn't need. Do you know what combat breathing is, sir? Cross blinks at the apparent change in subject. 444. Inhale, hold, exhale. Keeps you calm under stress. I learned it in training, used it in the field. It works. But the thing about combat breathing is it doesn't stop the fear. It doesn't make you brave. It just gives you enough control to do what you need to do, even when everything in your body is screaming at you to run. She looks at Cross. I came back because 12 people died following orders they trusted. And if I didn't do something about that, if I just stayed dead and let it go, then I'd have to live with that fear forever. The fear that it didn't matter, that they didn't matter. Combat breathing doesn't help with that kind of fear, sir. Cross is silent. Then he stands, walks to the window, and looks out at the parking lot. I pulled you out of that ditch 3 years ago. Do you remember what I said? You said, "Can you walk?" And you said, "If you can tell me where I'm walking to." Cross turns back to face her. I told you I was walking to find out who did this. And you said, "Then I can walk." You had 2 broken ribs, a concussion, and shrapnel in your leg. But you walked. You walked for 6 miles to the extraction point, and you didn't complain once. He returns to his chair. I'm telling you now, Commander. You've walked far enough. Let NCIS take it from here. With respect, sir, I don't think I'm done walking yet. Why not? She pulls a piece of paper from her pocket, unfolds it. It's a screenshot of an email, printed on standard copy paper, the kind that comes out of any office printer. The email is short. 3 lines. Tower 4 sends regards. 3 more names on the list. Same pattern. Are you ready? Cross reads it. Reads it again. When did you receive this? 0743 this morning, sir. 18 minutes after Mercer was arrested. Tower 4. What is that? I don't know, sir. But whoever sent this knew about Mercer before the arrest was public. They knew about Voss and Moss, and they're saying there are 3 more. Cross rubs his face with both hands. Do you have any idea how insane this sounds? We just arrested 3 officers for espionage. The entire chain of command is in chaos. Congress is going to demand hearings. And you're telling me there are 3 more traitors we haven't found yet? I'm telling you someone else knows about them, sir, and that someone wants me to keep looking. Why you? Because I'm already dead, sir. I can go places and ask questions without anyone wondering why. I'm a ghost. Ghosts are useful. Cross stands abruptly, paces to the door and back. NCIS will want to know about this email. Yes, sir. They'll trace it. They'll find whoever sent it. They'll try, sir. You don't think they'll succeed? Jasmine shakes her head. The email came from a server that doesn't officially exist, routed through proxies in 7 countries. By the time NCIS traces it, the server will be gone. Whoever sent this knows how to stay hidden. Cross stops pacing, looks at her. You know who sent it, don't you? I have a theory, sir. Share it. Resurrection Protocol, sir, the program that recruited me after Silent Harbor. It's not just about one operation. It's about finding systemic corruption. I think whoever runs that program has been tracking these people for years. They needed someone inside to gather evidence that would hold up in court. That someone was me, but I was only ever part of a larger investigation. So this whole thing, your transfer, your assignment, Mercer harassing you in the hallway, all of it was designed to make him panic, sir, to make him reveal himself. I was bait, and it worked. Cross sits down heavily. Do you know how many rules we've broken? How many regulations we've violated? If this comes out, if anyone finds out that we used an officer as bait without proper authorization, then we'd better make sure it was worth it, sir. They look at each other across the desk. Outside, the sun is beginning to set, casting long shadows through the window. Somewhere in this building, 3 people are sitting in cells, realizing that their careers are over, their freedom is gone, their names will be synonyms for betrayal. And somewhere else, 3 more people are going about their day, not knowing that a ghost is coming for them. Cross pulls out his phone, types a message, sends it. 30 seconds later, his phone buzzes with a reply. He reads it and nods. Protective custody is mandatory, but it doesn't have to be a safe house. It can be a secure facility where you continue your work, with supervision, with limits, but with access to the resources you need. What kind of facility, sir? The kind that doesn't officially exist. The kind where people like you do work that no one wants to acknowledge. He puts his phone away. I can't order you to do this, but I can offer you the choice. Stay dead and stay safe, or stay dead and keep hunting. Jasmine doesn't hesitate. I'll keep hunting, sir. I thought you might say that. Cross stands. There's someone waiting outside who wants to meet you. He's the one who sent that email. He's also the one who's been running Resurrection Protocol since before you joined. The door opens. Master Chief Dawson enters, but he's not carrying a clipboard anymore. He's carrying a folder stamped with classifications Jasmine has never seen before. Commander Hale. His voice is different now, less gruff, more precise. We haven't been properly introduced. My name is Dale Dawson. I'm the operational director of a program that doesn't have a name. We find traitors, we document them, we build cases that can't be dismissed, and then we let the system do what it's supposed to do. He sets the folder on the desk. You've done good work, better than we expected. You have a talent for making people underestimate you. Jasmine looks between Dawson and Cross. How long have you been watching me? Since the day you woke up in that field hospital, Commander. Since you told a doctor that Silent Harbor wasn't bad intelligence. Since you refused to let it go, even when everyone told you to. Dawson opens the folder. Inside are photographs, personnel files, financial records. These are the 3 names from the email. Colonel Andrew Fletcher, Navy JAG. He's been feeding case information to defense contractors who then know exactly how to structure their bids. Captain Sarah Brennan, Naval Medical Corps. She's been altering medical records to get unqualified personnel into sensitive positions. And Commander James Rourke, Nuclear Propulsion. He's been selling maintenance protocols to foreign intelligence services. Jasmine studies the files. 3 more faces, 3 more people who decided that money was worth more than the oath they took. How long have you known about them? Fletcher, 2 years. Brennan, 18 months. Rourke, 11 months. But knowing isn't enough. We need evidence. We need someone who can get close, gather documentation, make them feel safe enough to make mistakes. Dawson closes the folder. We need you. Why me? Because you're patient. Because you're disciplined. Because you've already proven you can wear contempt like armor and wait for the right moment. Dawson meets her eyes. And because you understand what it costs when someone betrays their own people. You lived it. That makes you dangerous to them. Cross stands. Commander, if you accept this assignment, you'll remain officially dead. No contact with anyone from your old life. No public acknowledgement of what you do. You'll work in the shadows, and if something goes wrong, the Navy will deny you exist. Again. What if I say no, sir? Then we'll put you in protective custody. You'll testify at the trials, and afterward, we'll give you a new identity and help you start over. You'll be safe, anonymous, free. Jasmine picks up the folder, opens it again, looks at the 3 faces, Fletcher with his JAG insignia, Brennan in her medical whites, Rourke with his nuclear propulsion pin. She thinks about 12 people who didn't get to choose, who followed orders and trusted the system and died because someone broke that trust. She thinks about combat breathing, 444. The fear never goes away. You just learn to work through it. She closes the folder. When do I start? If justice is a long game, then this is only the beginning. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because her mission isn't over. It's just getting started. Drop a comment. Would you hunt the next target or walk away? 3 weeks later, the trials begin. Captain Ryan Mercer is court-martialed in a closed proceeding that lasts 4 days. The evidence is overwhelming. The financial records, the server logs, the testimony of 12 families who finally know why their loved ones died. Mercer is found guilty on 11 counts of espionage, conspiracy, and conduct unbecoming an officer. He's sentenced to 30 years in military prison, dishonorable discharge, and forfeiture of all pay and benefits. His wife files for divorce on the 6th day. His children change their last name on the 10th. Commander Patricia Voss pleads guilty in exchange for a reduced sentence. 20 years. She gives up the names of her contacts, her payment methods, her handlers. NCIS follows those leads into a network that spans 3 continents and involves parties that make the evening news for a week before disappearing into bureaucratic language about ongoing investigations. Lieutenant Commander Derek Moss fights his charges, claims he's innocent, claims he's been framed, claims there's a conspiracy. His lawyer argues that the evidence was obtained illegally, that the witness is unreliable, that the entire case is built on assumptions. The jury deliberates for 3 hours and finds him guilty on all counts, 25 years. During all 3 trials, Commander Jasmine Hale never appears in person. Her testimony is submitted in written form, classified, reviewed only by the judge and jury. When Mercer's lawyer demands to cross-examine her, he's told that the witness is unavailable for security reasons. He files motions. They're denied. He files appeals. They're denied. Jasmine Hale remains a ghost. The day after Moss's sentencing, Admiral Cross receives a package. No return address. Inside is a challenge coin. Silver. Heavy. On one side, an anchor wrapped in rope. On the other, an inscription. Silent Harbor, never forgotten. And below that, 3 words added in fresh engraving: Justice keeps walking. Cross holds the coin for a long time. Then he locks it in his desk drawer next to a file folder that contains a single sheet of paper. At the top, 3 names: Fletcher, Brennan, Rourke. Below that, 1 line: Investigation ongoing. Somewhere in a facility that doesn't officially exist, Jasmine Hale sits in a room with no windows and a computer that isn't connected to any network the public knows about. She's wearing civilian clothes now: jeans, a sweater. She looks like anyone. She looks like no one. On her screen, a personnel file. Colonel Andrew Fletcher, 23 years of service, impeccable record, 3 commendations, a wife and 2 daughters, a mortgage in a nice neighborhood, a man who, on paper, is exactly what he's supposed to be, but paper doesn't show everything. Jasmine opens another file: financial records. Fletcher's salary is $78,000 a year. His house costs $600,000. His car is $60,000. His daughters attend a private school that costs $40,000 per year each. The math doesn't work, unless you add the money that's been flowing into an account registered to his wife's maiden name. Small deposits: $5,000 here, $8,000 there. Never enough to trigger automatic reporting. But over 3 years, it adds up to $412,000. Jasmine leans back in her chair, breathes. 444. Then she opens a new document and begins to type. Subject: Fletcher Andrew, Colonel, Navy JAG, initial assessment. The words flow: steady, methodical, patient. The same way water flows downhill, the same way justice moves when it's not loud, when it's not showy, when it's just the slow, inevitable weight of truth pressing down on lies until something breaks. She types for 3 hours. When she's done, she saves the file, encrypts it, and sends it to an address that will route through 7 servers in 7 countries before landing in a folder that Dawson will read tomorrow morning with his coffee. Then she stands, stretches, and walks to the door. Outside, a hallway. Doors with no names. People who don't exist doing work that will never be acknowledged. She passes a man in his 50s who nods at her, a woman in her 30s who doesn't make eye contact, a younger man who looks like he hasn't slept in 3 days. Ghosts. All of them. Hunting other ghosts. Jasmine takes the stairs to the ground floor, not because she needs to, because she wants to, because walking helps her think. 4 flights, 83 steps. She's counted. At the bottom, there's a door that leads outside. She pushes it open and steps into cold November air. The facility is surrounded by trees. No fences, no guards, no need. The people who work here choose to be here. They could leave any time. They could walk into those trees and disappear and no one would stop them. But they don't, because the work isn't finished. Jasmine walks to the edge of the clearing and looks up at the sky. It's that particular time of evening when the sun is gone but the stars haven't appeared yet. The in-between time. The time when the world is neither one thing nor another. She used to hate this time. After Silent Harbor, after the explosion, after waking up officially dead, she'd lie in hospital beds and watch the sky turn this exact shade of blue-gray and feel like she was disappearing. Like she was becoming as invisible as the people she'd lost. But she's learned something in 3 years. Invisibility is a weapon, and ghosts can walk anywhere. Behind her, the door opens. Dawson steps out holding 2 cups of coffee. He hands her one without asking if she wants it. Fletcher's file is solid, he says. We'll start surveillance next week. 6 months, maybe 8, and we'll have enough to move. And Brennan? Rourke? Brennan's being handled by another operative. Rourke is trickier. He's paranoid, careful. It'll take longer. Dawson sips his coffee. But we'll get them. We always do. They stand in silence, watching the sky darken. Somewhere in Virginia, 12 families are having dinner, knowing finally why their loved ones didn't come home. Somewhere in Kansas, a wife is explaining to her children why their father is in prison. Somewhere in this country, 3 people are going about their lives, not knowing that the math is wrong, that the records don't add up, that someone is walking toward them with patience and evidence and time. Do you ever regret it? Dawson asks. Staying dead? Jasmine thinks about this. I regret that it was necessary, but no, I don't regret the choice. Good. Dawson finishes his coffee. Because tomorrow, we start on Fletcher. And the day after that, someone else. And the day after that, someone else. This work doesn't end, Commander. There's always another traitor, always another betrayal. You understand that, right? Yes, Master Chief. And you're still willing to do it? Jasmine looks at him. At this man who's been hunting ghosts longer than she's been alive, who's seen enough betrayal to make anyone cynical, but who still shows up every morning and does the work because someone has to. I wore their contempt like armor, she says quietly. Every insult brought the truth closer. Every moment they underestimated me was a moment I could work. I'm not afraid of being underestimated, Master Chief. I'm afraid of stopping before the job is done. Dawson nods. Then let's get back to work. They walk back inside together. The door closes behind them. The trees stand silent. The sky continues its slow transition from day to night. And in a facility that doesn't exist, in a program that has no name, a woman who is officially dead sits down at her computer and opens a file on Colonel Andrew Fletcher. She breathes. 444. And then she begins to hunt. Because justice isn't loud. It's patient. And it never, ever forgets. Final scene. 6 months later, a different hallway, a different building, a different morning, but some things are always the same. Fluorescent lights, the smell of coffee, people in uniform moving with purpose. Colonel Andrew Fletcher walks to his office, keys in hand, briefcase under his arm. He's thinking about a case he's working on, a contract dispute that should be simple, but has gotten complicated. He's thinking about his daughter's recital next week. He's thinking about dinner with his wife tonight at that Italian place she likes. He's not thinking about the new paralegal who started 3 weeks ago. The quiet woman who works late and never complains and has a talent for finding things in old files that everyone else missed. He's not thinking about how his financial records have been cross-referenced with case outcomes, how someone has been documenting every time he gave privileged information to the exact firms who benefited, how patient hands have been building a case, piece by piece, document by document. He's not thinking about ghosts. He unlocks his office door, steps inside, and freezes. Because sitting at his desk, in his chair, is Admiral Nathan Cross. And standing by the window is a woman Fletcher has seen before but never really looked at. The paralegal. Except she's not dressed like a paralegal anymore. She's in uniform. Commander's insignia. And on her shoulder, just visible at the edge of her collar, there's a tattoo, an anchor, rope, waves. Fletcher's briefcase hits the floor. Colonel Fletcher, Cross's voice is cold, formal, final. You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit espionage and conduct unbecoming an officer. You have the right to remain silent. Fletcher doesn't move, can't move. His eyes are locked on the woman by the window, the woman who's been working 3 feet from him for weeks, who he never once saw as a threat. She meets his gaze. Her face is calm, her hands are steady. You should have seen me coming, Colonel, she says quietly, but no one ever does. 2 MPs appear in the doorway. Fletcher is read his rights, his wrists are cuffed, his office is sealed. And as he's led away, he turns one last time to look at the woman who destroyed him. But she's already gone, disappeared like smoke, like a ghost. Like justice that doesn't shout, but never stops walking.